Hello, my name is Tiffany. Welcome to my home. I am the dyer and maker behind lvfiberco. You can find me on Instagram at lvfiberco. You can find my shop on Etsy at latahvalleyfiberco.etsy.com. If you would like to message me directly, my email is lvfiberco@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is episode 7. Hard to believe, time is passing quickly. But here it is. And this week, it's March 16th. Today it's March 16th. The weather is sunny, no snow this week. Yay, spring might be on its way. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about my shop. I don't have anything new coming to the shop this week. If you recall from last episode, I'm spending some time focusing on what colors to bring to the shop. So I'm focusing on that, trying to decide what are going to be the solid base colors, and then the frequent or infrequent ones that kind of come in between when there's a special occasion like Valentine's Day, Christmas, that type of thing. What I would want to do there. So that's where I'm at right now. I did want to talk about a product that I do have in my shop a little bit more, kind of highlighted this week. This is my fingering sock minis, and this is 80% extra fine merino with 20% being nylon. It is 4-ply. It's about 87 yards. So they're a little over 20 grams. They're 25 grams. So you get 4 in the bundle. And this one is called Mostly Yellow. It was kind of fun. I dyed a lot of yellow mini skeins. They're great for toes, which is normally what I use a mini skein for, is toes, heels, and cuffs on my various socks that I knit. This one is called Walnut Delights, and it's very muted, more pastel color, which I like. I actually prefer this to this bright color, but sometimes when you look down at your feet, you want to see that little pop of color, so the brights can be nice for that. This has purple and cream, another purple with some pink, and brown, which is the walnut. I also have this color. It's called Garden Flowers, and it has blue, green, pink, and yellow. I actually really like this yellow. It's almost like an orange. It's got some orange. It has some orange in it, which give it this more sunshine color, which I like a little bit better than just the stark yellow. But everybody likes different things, so it's always good to have a variety in your shop for everybody. So here's this one. This is called Pastel, and you can see why. It's got the purple, the cream, brown, and then this pale pink, which is just beautiful. I love that a lot. Yeah. And then I have one that's just all of the browns. I call this one Walnuts and Cream. It was dyed with walnut, in case you're wondering. So I do have, most of them are variegated. You can kind of see the different brown and cream in one skein. Some are a little bit more solid than others. And then there's a specific one that is kind of striped as well. I have this set, which is called Primary Colors. Red, blue, and that bright yellow. So what could you do with these mini skeins? I use them for toes, heels, and cuffs, like I was saying. But a lot of people use them for color work in sweaters, mittens, hats. So they're very versatile in that way. And a lot, I mean, this is 87 yards in one skein. So that's a fair amount. Great for many different projects. So I thought I'd highlight that for this week in the shop. And some of these colors will be coming back. Okay, let's move on to what I'm wearing. Today I'm wearing a cardigan. It's called the Maema, and it's by Pip and Pin, and it's the short-sleeved variety. I think it came in long sleeve as well, but I did the short sleeve. I used fingering weight yarn. I knit this a couple years ago, so that was before I was writing down what yarn I used or even my projects. Yeah, I don't recall the yarn, but it's very soft. It's super wash, so it has some drape to it, which is nice. It's light, so I can wear it in the spring and summer and early fall. That's one of the reasons I wanted a light cardigan. I'll show you in the future. I do have a long-sleeved cardigan that I also knit in superwash, and its drape is a bit different than this one. This is a bit nicer. It lays nicer. The drape is better. The fit is better as far as gauge and that type of thing. So I do enjoy that. It gives you just enough warmth on those chilly days. So I do enjoy that. It is a honeycomb brioche is the pattern, which is great. I had never done honeycomb brioche before, so it was fun to learn, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, and maybe a different color. So yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. Let's move on to finished projects for this week. I have one finished project, and that is a pair of socks. Now, I have not blocked these yet, so they will be a little bit lumpy. Yay, they're finished. And I do have two of them. I knit them two at a time on circular needles. So I don't remember the toe. It was a extra from another pair of socks that I knit a full pair of socks in this color. But I don't remember the yarn. It's DK weight, which I didn't realize this yarn was fingering weight. So I started to knit with it, and then I'm like, this is DK and this is fingering. So I ended up doubling this. And I think last week I had talked about how I hand dyed this with my yarn in a cake so that it was a gradient. And I think even last week I said, oh look, it's gradiating. Well, it's not actually a gradient. This is marled, and yes, it is darker down here and a little lighter up here. but overall it's a marled effect, not a gradient effect. Now, if I had used it with just, instead of doubling the yarn to get to the weight that I needed, you would have seen more of a gradient, dark down here and light moving up. But because I used 2 strands, I made 2 separate balls, and I pulled from the center and the outside. So 2 fingering weights make a DK weight. Yeah, and that's what I have here. It was the shadow wrapped heel. If you're looking for a tutorial, you can see the Chili Dog here on YouTube. She has a great tutorial on it. I love it. It knits up really nice, and there's not holes where there generally are holes if you do like a German short row heel. I think I had also talked about too how I do a little rib here on the bottom of the foot. Guess I should hold them up correctly. Here on the bottom of the foot. That kind of cinches in the foot a little bit. I have found that DK weight socks are a little loose and kind of flop around on my foot for some reason, regardless of how many stitches I've got going around. And so I had seen this on some video that was an option to do. So I do that almost exclusively now, even on fingering weight socks. So there you go, my 2 socks. Yeah, so that's my only finished knitting project for this week. Let's move on to what I'm working on. Okay, what I'm working on. I talked about this last week as well, and I have not made any further progress on it. So I'm not going to talk about it very much, but I need to cast on the second toe, and then I will begin knitting those as well. I ended up with a work knit over the weekend, and so I spent 4.5 hours knitting a hat for someone who requested a hat. So I did that instead of casting on that toe. So it'll happen. It's just how it goes. Another project that I was working on was my vest. Now this vest is called the my goodness, I should just post a picture here. It's called the Pink Salt Vest by Drops Design. It's heavier weight yarn, and it has a really big collar. It's not tight, but floppy. Well, it sits up a little bit actually, but it doesn't look tight against her neck. So that's what I'm knitting. I'm knitting it with some Romney that I spun and then dyed with indigo. And I've talked about this a little bit, that the indigo is rubbing off on my hands when I knit. And in fact, it's also on my needles. My needles are turning blue. They're wood, so I guess that was bound to happen. But I had trouble setting the dye, the indigo dye. And so I'm hoping over time it'll be just like a pair of blue jeans. It'll stop leaching everywhere. So last week I had basically just cast on and did a couple of rounds. I was maybe up here. So I increased as much as they said to do so for the large. And then you put in a marker, and then you'll measure from here down. And I have think it said 25 centimeters from the marker, so I have a little bit left to go. And for hand spun, it's knitting up really nice. I love the color variation in here. It's kind of tonal, which is nice. And so I increased, and now I've done several rounds where you're just knitting. Actually, more than several rounds. It's from here that you no longer increase. You just knit, 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 knit. And actually, this is knit. It's not knit in the round. It's knit flat, and then you seam it together. I think. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm doing the back. This is the back panel. So, yeah. So that is the Pink Salt Vest by Drops Design, and I do enjoy it. I do wash my hands every time I'm done knitting because they're quite blue. So yeah, a fun project. So I should have more on that done this week. Okay, that's it for knitting. Let's move on to projects I've been spinning, finished spinning, and then spinning that I'm currently doing. So this week I finished up my spin on alpaca. Actually, it's merino and alpaca, mostly merino. I had spun a pretty small single and then chain plied it together. The goal weight that I was looking for was around a DK weight, DK to worsted, and I got that, DK to worsted. So here are my two skeins. One is small, one is big. Normally what I do when I get fiber from the yarn or the yarn store is if I get more than 4 ounces, I'll weigh it out and then divide it up and spin it so that I know what I'm going to get when I'm done. This is 2 1/4 ounce, and it's chain plied. So I'll post a video here on how that works, but basically you attach the yarn to your leader, and then you make a loop, and then you start and you pull and smooth down with your other hand the yarn, the fibers, so that you get a yarn and it chains it. So this skein is beautiful. I love it so much. It is soft and squishy. I did not measure, so the total fiber was 8 ounces. They both came out the same wraps per inch, so DK to worsted. And but more of it is in this. So while this one is 2 1/4 ounces, this one is 205 yards. So I'm guessing I probably have, and I shouldn't guess, but I probably have 300 yards or 280. So some fiber that you spin can be a little rougher on your hands. Now this is merino and alpaca, so it's very soft on your hands. But I'm currently spinning this. This is Fin Wool Top, and it is a little bit rougher, rustic on my hands. So as the yarn is going through and I'm pinching and helping with the twist, it is rough and creates kind of a drag on my skin and can kind of dry it out. So this is what I'm currently spinning. And I've never spun fin before. So I bought 8 ounces of this and wanted to kind of see how it was. Was it a soft fiber? Could I wear it against my skin? Was it durable? You know, that kind of thing. And it's definitely more rustic. It's still soft. Like I could wear it against my skin. So this one will be fun. I tried to spin this. There's some VM in it. Vegetable matter. From the fleece, from the sheep. So I tried to spin this woolen, which I have never done before. I always spin worsted, which again is when I'm creating the twist in the fiber, I'm running my finger down the fiber and drafting. Whereas with woolen spinning, you connect it to your leader, you create some spin, you put your finger here, and then you draft back and it spins into your fiber source. And then you pinch and draft and release and it spins. So it doesn't pull out all that air. So woolen yarn is very lofty. It's very warm still, but it's very lofty and light because there's a lot of air in it. So that's kind of what I was hoping to do with this. Now I discovered the way it's prepared, and I didn't realize it was a thing. I'm fairly new at spinning. So you just kind of live and learn. The way that this is prepared is not necessarily the best for woolen spinning. This is prepared in a way that is good for worsted. So I do have some fiber on my carder, which would be perfect for woolen spinning. So I'm going to do that next. I'm going to finish carding it and adding some more of the fleece to it. The deal with carding is it gets the fibers kind of aligned and going in the same direction ish, but they're more of a mix mash with some of the fiber going across. So here's your straight on the carder, and you've got some that's going like this, and so that creates a great material to begin drafting, because it's already because the fiber goes this way, there's already air in there, trapped in there, instead of it all going in the same direction. The air flattens out of that. So that is kind of my my plan, is to learn a little bit more about woolen spinning and how to do that, because I would like to have some of that in my stash. Although, you know, this worsted is lovely too, and I don't mind doing that too. Part of it is I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to I want all the yarn to be the same. I don't want thick and thin throughout the yarn. I like it all to be cohesive, and it's easier to knit that way versus if you have a really thick spot and a really thin spot and then you're knitting with one size needle, you know, I have done that, and it creates this fabric that's just, yeah, you don't want to wear it. In fact, I knit that into my son's sweater and he wore it one time. So, you know, it works, but I definitely, that process made me realize that it's very important to the yarn needs to all, for me, the yarn all needs to be the same size in the skein, so that I can get the consistency that I want in my knit fabric. So I'm finding with woolen, at least, because I started this woolen and then I stopped when I realized, it's not quite doing what I think that it needs to do to get a woolen product. And it was really thick and really thin. So I need to practice some more, and why not practice on a fleece that I bought pretty inexpensively and have to clean and wash and dry and card. Why not try it on that fleece rather than an expensive, already processed fiber? So that's kind of what I'm thinking in that regard. So that's what I'm spinning. That's what I've been spinning. That's what I'm doing this week. And yeah, I think that's it. Yep. So that's all my projects for this week. Let's talk about future project I may be thinking about, or yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to be working on this week is my vest. I'm going to cast on another pair of socks, and I'm going to cast on the toe to this sock. So I'll have two socks going, which is nice because when you're in the car, traveling to church or running an errand, and I'm the passenger, then it's nice to knit. And socks are great mobility. They're small, they fit in a little bag or your purse. So they're great transportation to keep your hands busy. So that's probably what I'll work on mainly, is my vest and cast on another pair of men's socks. And then this is a lady's pair of socks, the one I just showed you. So that is likely what I will work on this week. And maybe I'll throw in some hats. I had some customers ask about some hats. So I will likely be knitting some hats as well. And I've had another customer ask about some baby booties. So those are coming down the pipe as well. I don't know that I'll show those on here, mainly because they're a gift and I wouldn't want to surprise the recipient of those baby booties. So we will see. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Okay, so that's it for knitting, spinning, and projects. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming back week after week. So far, week 7. I appreciate all of the new people coming to see what I've got going on here, and all the diehards that have been with me since the beginning. So thank you so much. I appreciate also your business and checking out my shop. So I'm very thankful for that. The blessing that it is to be able to provide fiber and yarn to people all over the place. So thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time. I love showing you all my projects and what I'm working on, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.